Welcome to Mastering Machines, where we discover tomorrow's reality.
Welcome to Mastering Machines, where we discover tomorrow's reality. I was watching a TED Talk with the great and dazzling Cathie Woods from ARK Invest, the hedge fund manager, and she was giving a talk on her predictions for the future. And I thought it was really compelling. I think she's been an amazing voice throughout the investing community, making really bold bets with, Tesla and Nvidia, and really giving a direction to the future. And then I realized that it was actually accompanied with a report that was about 163 slides. And it seems like it's the blueprint or guide for the future. It seems like this is the direction that we're heading in. These things that we're talking about here have been talked about for ages, but now it's happening right in front of us. AI, robotics, all these different things are happening right now. And in this report, it could really be boiled down to 5 different sectors: artificial intelligence, robotics, energy storage, multi-omic sequencing, and public blockchains. This report is accompanied with trends and graphs and a lot of data visualizations that reflect what's happening in these different industries and sectors. What I'm going to do is actually break this up into 2 videos and go through a lot of the key points that caught my eye when it comes to this report, and why I think this will be considered one of those documents that we look back at 5 to 10 years, like the software will eat all the world paper. I think that was by Mark Anderson. So yeah, let's get into it. So now I want to talk about the actual report that Cathie Wood and the team at ARK created. So we could see right here that they're basing their report on these 5 innovation platforms that converge into a new technological era. These 5 things: energy storage, artificial intelligence, robotics, multi-omic sequencing, and public blockchains. So what I'm going to do is just go through each part of this report that I really think is important. I'm going to go through the portions of the report that I think are the best and really are the key points that you would probably want to know as far as going into this new technological era that they've deemed. So let's get into it here. First, there's this graph that gives you a sense of the estimated economic impact of just general purpose technologies. So you could see AI right here. You could see cloud computing. You can see advanced batteries, all that stuff right here. And I think that it really gives you a sense of what era that we're living in and what are these changes going to make for us as a whole, as a society. Then you can see I talked about a paper earlier on that talked about all the different AI researchers that now have drastically changed their forecast as far as how many things will be done when it comes to AI and how quickly it's done. You can see right here that their forecast has dropped a lot over the last couple of years, specifically the last 2 years. Then you could see that we have the individual technology market here. That kind of shows you what are the opportunities here when it comes to neural networks and battery technology, and how that could really drive a new era of transportation with robotaxis. See the impact of these technologies right here, how far AI is as far as percentage base. So let's get into the artificial intelligence part. You can see that here, the time that it took ChatGPT to get 100 million users is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. In 2 months, and compared to all these different platforms, just lets you know how quickly how quickly these technology companies are accelerating as far as like adoption and being able to hit these user thresholds. And you can get the kind of shallow end of the stick here as far as how many times AI was mentioned during earning calls. And you could see it from the supercut of Sudar during one of the Google events that AI was mentioned pretty much every 45 to 60 seconds here. We see the productivity boost here from AI. And you can see that they talk about foundation models across domains. So a lot of these different kind of like benchmarks, people kind of like play around with it and they always mention it, but these are the benchmarks where they're considering evaluating a language model and what its capabilities are. These are kind of the metrics here. And I put a post about this not too long ago, probably 2 months ago, and you could see from here that the text image model graphic design is going to upend a lot of businesses and graphic design businesses, because you can create an almost photorealistic image just made with prompts. Like you could see just from Midjourney in 2022 all the way to December 2023, and you could see that huge difference right here, just as far as the quality and the realism is just unparalleled. I think this is a great slide that they put in that probably wasn't mentioned in a lot of people's videos or, analysis of the report. But I think that this explains what's happening with a lot of media properties. BuzzFeed, Los Angeles Times, all these institutional media companies that can't sustain a business model on the internet. And this is part of the reason, is that just the cost of authoring the word has collapsed. You can have, LLMs write articles for you that, are SEO friendly, instead of, writing pieces that take 3 or 4 months to, develop. I hope that isn't the case, but that's what it seems currently. See right here. And I think a huge debate amongst a lot of the AI community is open source versus private models. And you could see right here that they're showing a graph that shows the performance of some of these open source models and how they're on par with some of the private models, and how the open source has really dominated the AI industry and really will be a huge factor going forward. And as far as building the community around it and the capabilities of the actual LLMs and software. So I've seen videos of people talking about LLMs running out of data. I think that one of the things that kind of stopped that notion was the effect of like synthetic data and how that will cause a lot of LLMs to reach a different level as far as kind of overclocking their performance and being able to have more data sets to train off of. They mentioned Bitcoin, and I'm not going to get too deep into the Bitcoin portion, but I think that they made some great points as far as Bitcoin outperforming pretty much every major asset over a long time horizon, which I think that a lot of people should consider when it comes to Bitcoin. And then also the fact that Bitcoin investors with a long time horizon usually benefit over time. So I think that was really useful. Obviously, Bitcoin is very volatile, but over the long term, it seems like it's one of the better bets. So also, let's talk about just the digital consumer. They talk about how artificial intelligence could lower the average work week. I saw an article that some of Germany is actually trying that to see if they could, have a 4-day work week. And I think with the productivity boom of AI, that this could be a reality. But does it matter if there's not a lot more jobs based off of these things? So I think this will be an interesting element of the workforce to see how this plays out over the next 2 to 3 years. There's this one slide that talks about social commerce, and we've seen that a lot, right? Especially with TikTok. A lot of like what's not, all these different apps and social media platforms that allow you to really have a commerce element to it, because that's really the way of the world now, is that you see a lot of the things that you buy by watching them beforehand before purchasing them. So one of the other things here that they talked about that I thought was really interesting was precision therapy, and wasn't really too informed about precision therapies, but they really cover the banner of RNA testing, the CRISPR gene editing, which is considered one of the most profound discoveries in the last 5 years, RNA therapeutics. So being able to really pinpoint specific therapies to combat specific ailments in your personal genetics will be a thing of the future, which will mean very interesting questions for the longevity of humans and their lifespan. So you can see right here, new therapeutic modalities are proliferating. So we can see all these different discoveries happening currently. And then one of the biggest takeaways that I found from this report is that precision therapies could really drive down the price of R&D, which is one of the biggest factors of creating a drug or any type of medicine or therapy, is that you have all of this R&D and 10 years of testing that is just frankly expensive and time consuming. But this could really drive the price down for R&D dramatically. See right here. And they also talked about curing rare diseases like sickle cell anemia, which is, obviously a big problem in the African nation. The accounts and the actual profitability of curing something like this could really be a profitable and lucrative opportunity for a lot of these drug companies. You can see just the value of curing a lot of these rare diseases just in general could really be a windfall for a lot of these pharmacy companies. So you can see right here, also they talked about multinomics, And one of my favorite parts here is the AI and automation are empowering drug discovery. So you can see right here is that the forecasted probability of clinical success of a lot of these precision therapies that they're doing are way higher than the legacy. And the cost is significantly lower. So if you're able to get better outcomes for way less, the sky's going to be the limit in the next 10 years when it comes to precision therapy and drug discovery. See right here, just the cost per drug, negative 48%. Just insane. Just really cost cutting. And this is unseen by a lot of the pharma industry in the last 15, 20 years. These are things that are happening in the last 4 to 3 years. And they talked about electric vehicles as well. But I think that the biggest thing from this was the fact that they talked about how we're at a paradigm shift of the electric vehicles and how they're going to be taking over the market share of combustion engine vehicles. And also how the prices will be declining as we get through the next generations of EV vehicles, and how the battery costs will decline. You can see right here. It's just going to keep on getting lower and lower, and the range is going to keep on getting higher and higher. And you can see right here that the charging time for 200 miles is just dramatically dropped here. I mean, imagine by 2027 where you can charge up something in 4 to 5 minutes. And I think we're well into the future with this, and we're on our way to this exact time scale. One of my favorite things to talk about, especially in this new age of the future, is going to be robotics. LLMs and multimodal models are rife to be working with robots and humanoid robots and cyborgs here. You can see here they have a great kind of cost graph here that kind of talks about the different elements of like structured and unstructured environment robots, the cost, and how inexpensive it is, all right here. The lower prices of robots are going to stimulate for demand. Amazon has already released 700 and something thousand robots on their workforce. And I think that's just going to increase, especially if once these robots get better and better, you're going to see it replace a lot of the workforce, unfortunately. And you're going to see that happen more and more, also while working in hand with humans as well. So it's going to be an interesting next couple of years for the workforce and all these different kind of blue collar companies, like an Amazon or FedEx or UPS, where some of this work could be outsourced by robots that are well capable, especially coming into the next 4 to 5 years working with AI. So you can see that they talk about many companies are likely to deploy robots and humans. All that right here. And one of the last points I want to talk about here is going to be robotaxis. Robotaxis are basically what Uber and Lyft and Waymo and all these different companies have been banking on, is eventually autonomous taxis being able to get their companies into a more profitable sector, because you won't have to pay for the most expensive thing, which is the drivers. So we'll be able to see that the robo-taxis will be coming. I mean, we've already seen it with Waymo out in San Francisco currently, but this will drastically cut down the price of a lot of these rides. And I think in the future that a lot of these rides will replace people owning their own cars. It's already had, but it's going to be more so in the next 5 years. See right here, autonomous vehicles are safer than human-driven vehicles. And just like I was mentioning before, that large language models and generative AI are going to accelerate the process of robotics. They go hand in hand, and they will really really bring about this new age of the future of these two things working hand in hand as far as physical workforces and then also white collar workforces, because they handle both well and in tandem. You can see right here, ride hail will be $1 trillion industry in a little bit. In the next, I'd say a little bit, but probably next 10 years, especially with autonomous driving and robo-taxis, that it will be a market that will dominate a lot of different industries and surpass them. So that's really it here. I just wanted to show some of these elements of the report and why it meant the most to me. And I think that it will really be a guide on how we view the next couple of years and what will be coming down the pipeline as far as the future and what we should expect. So, like, subscribe, discover tomorrow's reality with Mastering Machines.